Hello, I'm Clelia, and I work as an adult services librarian here at Ames Public Library.
And I'm Amanda. I'm also an adult services librarian here.
So we're here to give you some recommendations for our second annual 12 to Try reading challenge. For the month of December, the challenge is to read an anthology or best writing of the year book. Stay tuned for our suggestions or come to the library for some more and check out our display promoting the challenge. Amanda, what do you have up first?
I have an Indigenous dark fiction anthology called Never Whistle at Night, and it's edited by Shane Hawk and Theodore C. Van Alst Jr. So let me tell you a little bit about this book. So it has over 20 stories in here, written by various authors, and the title itself is based on the belief of many Indigenous people that one should, in fact, never whistle at night. And while this belief may look different and take many forms, all the legends hold on to one thing, and that is that whistling at night can cause evil spirits to appear. So if you're looking for a read that gives you goosebumps or makes you huddle into your blanket at night with a shiver of delight and perhaps a chill that has nothing to do with the temperature, this is a perfect book to pick up. It has ghosts, curses, haunting, shapeshifters, mythical creatures, all here in these pages. So the first tale plunges you in with a kushtaka, is what it's called. And this is a shape-shifting creature found in folklore of Indigenous people of the Pacific Northwest coast. And this creature takes on the form of the main character in this story and hunts down the humans. You end the story wondering if the kushtaka actually existed at all, and kind of leaves you pondering. Another tale tells of a grandma and her two grandsons, and this one's called Human Eaters, has a message of not forgetting your roots and your history. So while each tale is distinctly different, they all explore themes that weave in legend and lore. And some leave you, like I said, feeling, like wondering what happened or pondering. Some have you leave with an emotional, visceral reaction. So there's also some graphic and disturbing elements, so be warned, it's not for the faint of heart, but it is a great read, lots of vivid imagery throughout, and a creeping sense of dread that will keep you turning the pages to see how each story will end. So just remember, never whistle at night.
Sounds cool and spooky. Okay, so I chose to talk about the Best American Short Stories. It's an annual series, so they publish this every year. I looked at the 2020 collection. So each time they put this out, a guest author will be the editor who chooses, I think she started from 140 and had to narrow it down to 20 short stories. So you kind of get their personal taste, but also, somebody who's in the business saying, these are the best short stories of this year that I've read. So I've been meaning to read this series for a long time because I love short stories, and this is a really great collection. There's Mary Gateskill, This Is Pleasure, which came out as a novella, I think, so it was published by itself, but it's in here. Emma Cline, who just had a new book come out this year that's amazing. T.C. Boyle, let's see, Kevin Wilson, he's also great. So if you just want a way to dip into short stories or get an overview of a year in time, this is a really great one. I thought 2020 would be interesting too, just because pandemic and it's an interesting year. So there's a lot of talk about that too in the introduction. So I definitely recommend checking out any book in this series, but this one especially looked really good.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds like a good way to get into it and read some great authors. All right, well, let me go on to my next book then. So this is actually a bunch of short stories about one of my favorite authors, or from my favorite author, Naomi Novik, and it's called Buried Deep and Other Short Stories.
The cover's really cool.
Yeah. So this one is an exciting collection of 13 short stories, and they span the detailed and magical worlds of Naomi Novik. So she's also written, if you've read the Scholomance trilogy, Uprooted, Spinning Silver, there's a Dragonfilled Temeraire series. It also gives a sneak peek into one of her upcoming novels. So I could tell you a lot about her because she's one of my favorite authors, but I'll just talk about this for now. So these stories feature a little bit of everything. So it mixes fairy tales, fantasy, history, mystery, science fiction, all in the worlds of the author's creation. So once you start reading, you'll find yourself traveling from ancient Greece and Rome through the Middle Ages and the Black Death into the modern day. You'll meet pirates, minotaurs, soldiers, and someone who seems reminiscent of Rumpelstiltskin. So some famous characters you'll meet include Mark Antony, Sherlock Holmes, and Elizabeth Bennet. And you'll be surprised to find these familiar characters doing some unfamiliar things. So it's quite a fun read. You'll find yourself in lush, elaborate, magical cities, along with science fiction, parallel ancient alien civilizations. And these stories have, like, one of my favorite things about her is that she has incredible world building, intricately detailed, really beautifully written. So whether you've read her or not, I think that everyone can find something to enjoy in here and just become spellbound by the worlds that she's created. And you'll also find some humor sprinkled in, which will provide you a good laugh. Note the drunken fairy godmother story. So again, this just gives a great glimpse into the worlds that she created, and even if you haven't read them, it's a great book to give a try. So
yeah, very cool. The last book I wanted to talk about is another short story anthology. It's called We Are the Stories We Tell, the best short stories by North American women since 1945. And this came out in 1990, so it's a little bit older, but it has a great overview of classic female authors, some of whom I've read and heard of, and some of whom I have like meant to read and never have, or just know that they're important, but haven't gotten around to them yet. But it has everyone from Flannery O'Connor to like Southern Gothic icon Grace Paley. I've heard her short stories are particularly good. I think she's mainly known for those. Leslie Marmon Silko, I didn't know wrote short stories. Margaret Atwood, Alice Walker, Francine Prose. So it's a good collection around a theme and also a way to expose yourself to some, authors who might have been under your radar or classics that don't get talked about as much anymore. So yeah, that was the other one that I found.
that sounds great.
So thank you for joining us. And those are our recommendations.
Yeah, hope you have a chance to come in and find some good books for 12 to try.